Are you stuck? What about unhappy? Join Alena Chapman, author, mentor, and life coach for 30-minute moments as she challenges you to get out of the doldrum and start living your life to the fullest. It's time to celebrate that life with 30-minute moments.
It's time for 30-minute moments, and I am your host, Alena Chapman. And as you know, 30-minute moments, we are all about the ease and the betterment in your life, those little nuggets that just make life nice. And today, I have a very special guest all the way from New Jersey, and his name is Sandy Cerami. Now, Sandy is an interesting man. He is actually started out in retail automotive industry. He's a leader, okay, and a recognized expert in the area of automotive sales, personal branding, and leadership development. And this is what's so cool. He focuses his practice on what is important to his clients. Now, isn't that nice? And he crafts many of his engagements based on a unique approach that centers on the challenges and solutions based on the clients and his clients' own customers' perspectives. So what is he saying? He's saying that it's not one shoe fits all. He takes it and he looks exactly at your situation, your particular clients, and then he crafts what you need to make your business a success. All right, so his goal is to continue to help clients build a culture, an authentic standout branding, and emphasize the sustainable and genuine value of a relationship. The relationship, you know, those relationships we're supposed to have in an era of all too focused on digital capabilities. So he's saying, you know what, we got to go back a little bit, guys. It's the relationship that counts. So this is very cool. And what, you know, he has his own story, which I'm going to let you tell. He's going to tell you more about it. And he's a very cool man. He also has a groundbreaking podcast called The Six, S-I-X, and it's a reference to the 6-inch space between your ears. I love that. The podcast airs every Tuesday with stories from solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, executives, and regular people who have experienced the ups and downs of life and business, but managed to achieve exceptional levels of success. And with that, Sandy, hello today. How are you?
Hello, Lena. How are you? Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to this. Yeah, this is a very, very cool. I want to now, you know, I know you talk all about the automotive. Now, would you tell everyone a little bit about your history in the automotive industry? Because that's really where you learned a lot of skills.
No question about it. I mean, it's funny because one of the things that is often mistaken with me is that I am a real car buff and a car nut because I've spent the last literally 45 years of my 52 years on this planet immersed in the retail automotive business. But the truth of the matter is the attraction for me was always the energy, the people, the excitement. It was less the cars and more the people aspect of the business.
Yeah.
I was born into the business. I'm a third-generation retail automotive guy, as they say. My grandfather got into the business almost by accident. My dad followed in his footsteps, and when my grandfather passed away in 2001, we had a little bit of a estate issue because his estate plan was like 18 years old. It afforded my wife and I the opportunity to purchase the dealership assets from my father and start fresh, you know, with just the two of us. It was an exciting and scary time, I got to be honest with you.
Oh, I'm sure it was. A lot of uncertainty, you know? Yeah. It makes life very special.
Yeah, no question. That's a word. It wasn't the word we were using at the time. A way to describe it for sure.
And a lot of people in their business, they go through these transitions. You learn a lot when you go through yours, like in 2007. Well, actually, it was, 2007 to 2009. And it was also during the recession, a lot of automotive problems at that time. GM, for instance, had a major problem then. Correct?
Yeah, no question about it. No question about it, Alena. As a matter of fact, that's kind of the culmination of my day-to-day on the showroom floor. My wife and I, as I said, in 2001, had put everything back together again after my grandfather had passed away. We had literally liquidated every asset that we had. We sold our house. We moved into a smaller house. We took the equity from the home. We took our 401k accounts and just about all of our savings and put it into the transaction to purchase the store. So we literally put all the chips in the center of the table.
Yeah, gamble.
And bought the business.
Wow.
Well, it was a gamble, but it was really, it was the realization of a lifelong dream that I had. And we had a great run up until about 2007 when the economy started to fall apart. We saw some pretty early signs inside the GM world where things just weren't making a whole lot of sense from a financial perspective. And in 2008, we made the decision to get out and put a deal together with General Motors that ended up being included in their bankruptcy proceeding in early 2009, which left my wife and I, 7 figures in debt and not a lot of options at that point.
Wow. It sounds like you are not afraid of risk. Is that true?
I'll tell you, I spoke yesterday. And I referenced the fact that I grew up in a household where my parents were divorced when I was very young, and we bounced around to a lot of different towns, my sister, my mother, and myself. And I think that kind of hardened me a little bit in terms of being afraid to take a risk. I had to put myself out there because I found out pretty quickly that it was easier to make friends with a name like Sandy being a boy than it was to fight everybody that wanted to challenge you. And so, I learned how to make friends and use humor pretty early on in my life. But yeah, I'm not afraid to put myself out there and take a risk.
If I was someone who came to you as a client and I had not, I didn't have the name Sandy as a man, and I didn't have to learn the skills of making the friends. And I've lived in a very sheltered life, but yet I want to do this business. What kind of advice would you give to me?
The first thing I remind clients is to get over themselves. Fear is, listen, every one of us has to deal with that. You referenced the 6, which is the 6 inches in between your ears.
Yes.
That voice inside your head that tells you can or can't do something is usually right.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times I'm working with clients on the mental side of the equation to get over themselves and to put fear aside, because there's a great acronym out there. It says fear is false evidence appearing real.
Yes.
And a lot of times it's that voice in our head that's telling us, or we've been preconditioned by outside voices, which now turn into that voice inside of our head telling us we can't do something or it's not worth the risk. I'm not for careless and wanton risk. I'm for calculated and focused risk.
Yes.
That doesn't mean it's always going to work out, but I think you have to have a plan if
right.
you take a risk.
Yes, it's a strategic risk. You know what I mean? And also you said an important thing, if it's in your head and you believe it and it's there, then it's your reality. And so many people believe in the I call it the critical mind, all those, that very loud voice that tells you can't, that loud voice who seems to be so reasonable but isn't. That's the voice that's the critical mind. And it is. I remember Bob Proctor. He's in the self-development world, and he was my mentor. Yeah, you know who he is. Yeah,
I love him.
Oh, yeah. He's really tough, but I'll tell you what, he has a heart so soft and beautiful. And he said, he was talking about getting up there and speaking, and he said, you get nervous, but guess what? It's not about you.
That's right.
Get over it. It's not about you. You're not here for you. Isn't that cool?
I love that, because it is all about getting over yourself. When you start to focus on it from, the other person's or the audience perspective, I think something changes inside of you. You start to get a completely different sense of inspiration and a sense of motivation to go out and deliver. And it becomes less about, what am I going to look like? What am I going to sound like? And more like who and how am I going to impact the audience?
And I find, at least for me, it's freedom. Isn't it? Don't you feel like it's just freedom? The hang up is gone, and you're all about giving people the very best you have. That's just so that they can learn. That's it.
No question about it. I couldn't agree with you more. I think part of it, Alena, is, what are we pouring inside of those two holes on the side of our head that we call ears? And what are we digesting through the eyes in terms of what we're reading and listening to
exactly
on a regular basis? Because that critical mind that you referenced, and I love that. I'm going to steal it from you. I'll give you 2 or 3 times, and then
be my guest.
I'm going to take it all to myself. No, but I love it because you're spot on. It's a relentless voice. And unless you're going to combat that relentless voice inside your head with, vitamins for the soul and vitamins for the mind, you're going to have a tough time getting past that. And so that's some of the things that we work on with clients on a regular basis.
You are listening to 30-Minute Moments, and I am your host, Alena Chapman, and we are with Sandy Sarami, and this is all for betterment and ease in your life. We'll be right back.
This is 30-Minute Moments with Alena Chapman, helping you find your inner self every Sunday on WOWO.
Hi, I'm Alena Chapman, and I'm your host for 30-Minute Moments and all that ease and betterment in the life we bring. So I have a question for you. Do you feel you deserve all that betterment and ease in your life? Also, do you feel you must struggle? Or do you feel stuck in the muck? Or you may even just want that peace and happiness and balance in your life. I want to first thank everyone who has chosen to chat with me, and oh my gosh, you are so awesome people, and because of the wonderful response, I have decided to open up more of my calendar to all of you because I love you. And I'll tell you what, all you have to do is text 41411 and type in Meet Alena and schedule your time. Text 41411 and we can talk.
You're listening to 30-Minute Moments with Alena Chapman, helping you discover your true purpose on WOWO and at WOWO.com.
Welcome back to 30-Minute Moments. I'm your host, Alena Chapman. We have Sandy Sarami here, and I'll tell you, this man is so fascinating, and he's all about that wonderful business really thriving. Sandy, I know that you had some tough times, and they were hard circumstances and challenging. Number one, did you ever feel like giving up? And number two, how did you conquer? Well, what was going on inside your head? Let's go that way.
It's a great question. Have I ever felt like giving up and what was going on inside my head? The short answer to that question is yes. I can remember in May of 2009 sitting in a used car that I had retained. And I reached into my pocket, and I had been driving around for days upon days with nowhere to go, no plan whatsoever. And I was at a loss because we were now 4.5 months behind on a mortgage. I had just been served foreclosure papers. And I reached in my pocket, Alena, and I had $11, $5 bill wrapped around 6 singles, and I pushed a little button on a drawer in my dashboard of my car that had about $3 in change sitting there. And I'm not ashamed to say I broke down at that moment.
Sure.
And I just couldn't go any further. But one of the things I did in my life was I met an amazing person, my wife, Mary, and I had not shared with her that we were 4.5 months behind on the mortgage at that point. I'm not proud of that. But truthfully, I was trying to shelter her and my 2 little kids at the time.
Right.
And I walked in the back door of the house, and I said to her specifically these words, that I said, honey, we're broke and I'm broken. And I don't know what to do. And I had tears streaming down my cheeks.
Aww.
I was ready to give up. I have to tell you, at that moment in time, I was ready to file bankruptcy. I was ready to just give up. We were so deeply in debt, and General Motors was not responding to our overtures to get together and find out what to do with the $3 million in change worth of cars that we had sitting there that I was still paying the interest on. the rent to store them. It was just a crazy time. And my wife looked at me and she said these words, and I will never forget them. I have a pin that I wear on my lapel that says believe. She says, honey, stop crying. I believe in you, that you have to do something. Something is better than nothing. And
wow.
I will tell you that was a seminal moment. It was the point in time when I really just I knew I had to do something. And so the voice in my head at that point was making a transition from you're a failure, you've made bad decisions, you should have seen this coming, to, all right, what do we need to do now? Like, what's the next step here? And I know Mary is going to be with me 100% of the way. And that was a big change.
That's very big.
In terms of my mental state at that point.
Yeah. And it was a game changer. And once you change that, all of a sudden you open your mind to opportunities, Well,
yeah. Instead of driving around aimlessly trying to figure out what I should do, I actually did something. I went and sat down at the Starbucks in my town, and I wrote down the very, very rough outline of my business, Applied Selling Dynamics. And it was, at that point, it looked nothing like what it is today. But I started to put something on paper, and I wrote down 328 names of people that I could think of off the top of my head. And I don't think that I even had a real plan, Alena, at that point. I really just wanted to do something productive to get my mind in the right direction.
Well, what you did was fabulous. Sitting down and just letting it come. And then you can see. That's when the opportunities start to show themselves. But if you're in that mode of, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I always say to people, you have to gain that expecting. I always tell the story of when I only had $200 in my pocket, and I gave 20 of it to the homeless lady. But, my realization,
right? I mean, that was a perspective builder for you. She was worse off than you.
Yes,
and you were kind enough, and you were paying something. I love that. I mean, that's the way it should be.
It also made me look at that and think, I could be there. And then what clicked in as fast as that was, no, it's not going to happen. And that was my turning point. Yeah. It's just something that rises out of you, and it's fostering that. You sitting down at a Starbucks, writing things out, that was your, no, this is not going to happen. You know? Yeah.
It's funny because in the moment that my wife said the words, I believe in you, I will tell you, it was like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. I went from hopeless to hopeful, and that's, that can be, it's the shortest distance in the world. It's a 6-inch leap, right? It's that 6-inch space in between ears, going from hopeless to hopeful. And many people, if not everybody, has been at some point in their life in a position like that. And it's all relative. We get it.
And what an angel you had right there, Mary.
Most times. We're like everybody else. We've got our disagreements, but we love each other and support each other. And I thank God for her and my kids every day.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. So you also enjoy the marketing aspect. So do I, actually. And you practice that a great deal. Okay, so you talk about this customized marketing, and also I want to touch on this relationship marketing and talk about this relationship thing, because I'll tell you what, everyone I talk about marketing, everybody is on the internet. Everybody wants to build this funnel thing. And, there was another way of doing business before the computer.
Oh, no question. I'm very familiar with the click funnels and all the technology that's out there. And listen, I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, me too.
But I also think that it can't displace the human aspect of doing business and connecting with people. I think that you have to combine high tech with high touch. I think there's no other way around it if you're going to build meaningful, sustainable, fruitful relationships. And I'm a big fan of social media. I am learning. I have to be honest with you. I'm now a committed lifelong student, and I'm learning how. So yeah, it's amazing, right? It's
changing all the time.
You are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm learning how social media is. I used to think of it as something for the 14-year-old kid that was scanning my groceries at the local supermarket. But the truth is that it is a tremendous business driver, from LinkedIn to Instagram to Facebook and Twitter. YouTube. I mean, all these tools that are out there for you to build the personal brand, which every single person breathing on this planet will end up doing at some point in the future. I think it's too important.
You have to
differentiate.
Right.
And I think that, you use that to attract the right kind of people into your sphere of influence to develop real relationships and have real conversations.
It's the law of compensation. It's the third step of the law of compensation. Well, why are you, the branding is, why are you the person they should come to? Why are you the one that has the answers? It's the third part of that. Yeah. You are listening.
The critical piece is clarity, right? I mean,
yes. Clarity.
What I see very often out there in the marketplace is people that aren't clear on why they're the person to do business with that. And I use the example all the time when I'm working in workshops and seminars, and I say, I'll give you a very simple example. Sandy Cerami wants to be the person whose face pops into their mind's eye and whose number goes into the phone and my phone rings when they're not sure what to do about something. And I don't care what it is. And I don't care when they call. I want to be the one they call when they don't know who to call.
Ooh. This is 30-Minute Moments, and I'm Alena Chapman, and we're talking to Sandy Cerami, and be right back with the shift. This is fascinating.
You're listening to 30-Minute Moments with Alena Chapman, helping you discover your true purpose on WOWO and at WOWO.com.
Welcome back to 30-Minute Moments, and you know what? It is time. The shift. We are talking about aha moments, and I'll tell you, Sandy had a big one, but we're going to see if he has another one. You guys, we get aha moments all the time. Are you listening? Sandy, what is an aha moment for you?
I will tell you, Alena, that the most recent and maybe the second biggest aha moment of my life occurred a couple of months ago. I had been watching a program on TV that just sparked an idea about a podcast. I had been, toying with the idea of starting my own podcast.
Yes.
And I just had this notion that it had to happen, and it had to happen in a particular way, because I knew how important social media was, how important, being infotainment versus just an information provider was. And to put it in context, I wanted to do it in a way that was going to give people a few laughs and give them a few learning moments at the same time, but feel different than anything else that was out there. And so I sat down with my producer and director, Hollywood Bill Capone, and my cohort and co-host, Double D Deshaun Drummond, over a series of lunches. And the moment when we sat at lunch, the three of us together, and came up with the concept for the six, was a huge aha moment. It was the moment when we decided that, and I'll quote Gary Vaynerchuk, my man Gary V.
Okay.
It was the moment that we decided to become the show and not the commercial.
Ooh, isn't that nice?
It was a game changer.
Yeah,
it was a game changer.
It is. Yeah, I agree, and that's kind of what I was doing with this show. It's just having the fun, and it sounds like you are like me in one way, that you listen to the aha moments and you also feed your mind with positive, or not even positive, I mean life-changing information, which helps you foster these ideas that are just different than anything else.
And no question about it. I think sometimes you have to be the one that inspires, and sometimes you have to be the one looking for inspiration.
Always.
And contextually, you have to know where you are in your life, to be, in either one of those positions.
And you can't have all the answers.
We have yet to meet that man or woman.
Yeah, if you just go with that, it frees you up again, so you can have everything. And
yeah, but the other thing, Alena, think about it. I don't think that any of us needs all of the answers.
No.
You need an answer, right? You need a workable answer, a workable solution, and the old adage, there's more than one way to skin the cat. It's just a matter of putting the creative space between your ears to work.
I have one more question, bringing you back a little bit. You hear a lot of people go into businesses, and they are system people. Do you know what I mean? They put the system together, the foundation of the house. How are you different from that? Or are you?
That's such a great question. I am different.
Of course.
I have mad respect for folks that are, I'll call them, right brain thinkers.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And everything is system and detailed and has to be in a very specific order. I don't operate that way necessarily. I can certainly adjust when I need to incorporate a portion of that into what we do. But I'm very guttural in terms of how I operate. I like to identify based on observation, conversation, intuition, the challenges that we have, because a lot of what we see on the surface is not really the root cause of challenges that we see with the organizations and people
so
that I work
true.
with.
So true.
I have mad respect for the people that use systems, but it's not how I work ultimately.
Beautiful. And how can people get hold of you?
Listen, I'll meet them wherever they are. Really easy to find me at Sandy at sandycerami.com, and that's Sandy with a Y, SANDY at Sandy, SANDY, Cerami, CERAMI.com.
Yes.
I'm on all of the social media platforms, so I'll meet you wherever you are. Just, punch me right into the social media search box, and you'll find me. Certainly on LinkedIn. I'm an open connector, so if you want to find me on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, I'm out there. And you can call me directly on the phone. I answer every phone call. If I'm with a client, I'll send you the voicemail, but 201-753-1234. That's as easy as it gets, and happy to help. We don't run the meter. If they have a question or they got a challenge that really needs some input, we don't run the meter, so feel free to reach out.
See, that's relationship. And I love that you're doing that, because I'll tell you what, you get on that, I do the same thing, very, very attainable. And that's where you make the relationships, on the internet and off. I love it. I love it. You are listening to 30-Minute Moments, and I am your host, Alena Chapman, and we have had so much fun with Sandy Cerami. He is just very innovative and very cool. And if you want to learn more about Alena Chapman, you may. You can always reach me, at that wonderful 41411, and just type in Meet Alena, and I'll tell you what, you're scheduled right in there. But you can also reach out on any way. Go to alena360.com, and guess what? There I am. Everything you could possibly ever want to know. But like always, this is a show about ease and betterment. I hope you got something you can use in this wonderful broadcast for your week. And always peace, love, and light.
This has been 30-Minute Moments featuring Alena Chapman. If you missed an episode, download it now at wowo.com.
Podcasts by Federated Media.